Welcome to Monkeys Unfiltered, the podcast where chaos meets conversation, and the unexpected is always on the menu. Join hosts Leanne, Jason, and Hayden as they swing through life's absurd, hilarious, and thought-provoking moments. No topic is too wild, no opinion is too untamed. Get ready for unfiltered banter, laughs, and a barrel of fun. This is Monkeys Unfiltered.
Good evening, or morning, or afternoon, or wherever you're at. Welcome back to the Monkeys Unfiltered podcast. I am Hayden, the youngest monkey, and I'm here with Jason and Leanne, my mom and my brother, the other two monkeys. Today, we will probably be talking about places that we've traveled, want to travel, that kind of stuff, you know. It's just something I've wanted to talk about for a while with y'all. But first of all, how y'all doing?
I'm doing
pretty good. Small group session or semester, I should say, at Church of the Highlands has started back. We're doing 3 different groups. One's a board game group, one's a freedom group, and then we're also doing a group where we have people over to watch The Chosen.
Sounds like a full plate.
I'm supposed to elaborate because I haven't done anything but work. In fact,
I mean, you and me both, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I went from having very little hours to slammed 6 days in a row, essentially. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close.
Well, I worked.
You know?
Yes, I feel you because I had so much work this week. I forgot to do something and had to spend my off time doing it. But it's done. I'm just glad to be here with you guys.
Can't pay me enough to take my off time to devote to work.
No. All right. Well, as I said, I wanted to talk about some travel stories that we may have, you know,
I love to travel.
I don't know, reminisce a little bit about either stuff we've done together or maybe some trips that y'all have taken that the other two don't know about.
How would y'all not know about any trip I've ever gone on?
What like Epstein's Island? Is that what you mean?
I'm not saying that, but like maybe like just you and your wife or mom and Don, you know, they just took a trip somewhere for the day, and that might be one of their favorite trips they've done, but we don't know about it because we weren't there and they don't really talk about it, you know?
As far as family trips, it's a toss-up for me. So when we were younger, Hayden and Mom, you'll both remember this, we went to Las Vegas for like a week.
We did.
We stayed, like before Airbnb was the thing, we stayed in just like a rental property or whatever. It was a nice house with a jacuzzi in it and stuff. And Hayden was super excited about this baseball glove chair.
I remember that.
Yeah, man.
I do remember that.
That's the only reason I liked that house.
Yep.
You rented a big like van.
Mm-hmm.
You were married to Glenn at the time.
Mm-hmm.
His daughters were there. Me and Hayden were there, and then the two of y'all, and then Nan came for a short while. We went to the Grand Canyon. We did all kinds of stuff.
That was the trip where my agenda making skills surfaced.
Yeah, we got those laminated itineraries that were all like bound and stuff like that. I remember that.
Bro, you remember how they like told us we were going to Las Vegas? They each gave every one of us like a little trinket item at Christmas. So like one was like a toy plane, somebody got dice, and other people got card.
And we had to like
another
piece
person
it
got
together.
Cards. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, we went over spring break.
Yeah, it was a really fun way.
Y'all did. Y'all got a little itinerary. It told you what we were doing every day. So like it was like be up and out of bed by 8:13, be in the van ready to go by 8:27 because we will leave you behind.
Yeah, and that itinerary was no joke, man. Like it was laminated. It had like a book spine on it. Like it was all.
Yeah, it was on like
one
of those
professionally done.
What do you call those?
Yeah.
You know, when you're in grade school, and you have to get the folders that have the little prong things in them, the pockets. Yeah, it was in one of those, and It had little
Yeah.
did you know facts about Vegas and all the places we were going. And what I say to every time y'all ask a question, what I say.
Look at
We'll check your itinerary.
Yeah.
So we did like the Grand Canyon and looked at all the casinos and stuff like that. Obviously, we didn't play. Like most of us were underage. But I think one of my favorite things about that trip was going to the buffet at the Bellagio.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
That was good stuff, man.
And
It's funny. I feel like I was too young to remember most of this trip because I was like, what, 8, 9?
if you
10,
were that old,
maybe.
if you were that old,
Yeah. So I don't remember a lot of it, but I can tell you I remember the M&M Museum
Yep.
place because they had Kyle Busch's car in there. And I remember getting my like persona thing artist drawn.
Yep.
I don't know what you
Caricature?
call the
Yeah.
the caricature. Yeah, those. And then I remember walking through the Luxor because I was fascinated with the Luxor and the fact that Chris Angel lived there at the time and stuff like that.
Yeah,
When he
because
floated above it.
right. And doesn't your character
Yeah.
have the Luxor
Quote,
in the
unquote,
background?
floated.
Right. That character,
think
yeah,
so.
I think it did too. Yeah.
Actually, I think I know where that is. Hold on.
Oh my goodness. The other thing that I remember about that trip was in regards to Hayden. We were in the Monte Carlo, which is so funny because I was just there again recently and it looks nothing like it did when we were there previously. But we had all stopped because y'all were fascinated. The gondolas were going through the hotel and you guys were fascinated with it. We stopped at this big grand set of stairs and Hayden had walked so it was the stairs that like go up one landing and then kind of have the turn and then go up the second landing. So you could stand on that little platform area, and Hayden had gone under the stairs so that he could see the gondolas, and we all turned around and like, I don't know, took maybe 10 steps down the hallway because there was an ice cream place or something. And all of a sudden I look around and I'm like, where is Hayden? He had to have probably been talking about his age 6. So I'm like, where is Hayden? Where is Hayden? I'm like, oh my God, we've lost Hayden. So we start looking for Hayden. He's under the stairs crying because he thinks that we have left him. And he's like, you left me. And I'm like, baby, I would never leave you. But looking back on it, maybe we should have ran.
Yeah, now that you found me, I would certainly never leave you.
Yeah.
How could you ever think that, Joe Dirt?
Right. We would never leave you.
Yeah, I don't know where that thing is.
Oh, he can't even hear us. Did you hear all of that?
I hear you.
His headphones are wireless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About me being under the stairs, crying and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you don't
His
remember.
headphones are wireless. He takes them wherever he goes.
Oh, okay. You don't remember that though, do you?
No,
worrying that we
not at all.
left you? Oh, okay. Do you remember going to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I remember the Grand Canyon because I remember when we got there, the guide or whoever it was like, don't stand in the sun for more than 5 minutes or you will burn.
Yeah.
Because it was like 125 degrees outside.
The one thing I remember from the Grand Canyon with like certainty, mainly because there's like photo evidence, is I dressed like a dummy back then. So I was wearing this like 4 or 5X white t-shirt that came all the way down like to my thighs. I was wearing really, really long shorts that might as well have been capris.
They were
and then
capris.
I was wearing like a red bandana on my head. Like
that was
I was just dressed like such a goofball.
That was back when you thought you were Puerto Rican or wanted to be Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I did have that time in my life.
But Hayden, I was going to ask you, do you remember when you wanted to crawl up on that big rock thing and pee into the canyon?
No, I don't.
There was this big rock and you thought you could, if you crawled up on top of it, you could like pee off into the canyon. It's like, no. Well,
that sounds like a legit endeavor.
Yeah. Even before we got to the Grand Canyon, we stopped at the Hoover Dam. Do y'all remember that?
I remember the Hoover Dam. I remember letting the penny roll down it.
That was cool. Yeah. Y'all all got those blue hard hats because that was prior to 9/11, so you could still go down on the turbine floor. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I literally remember nothing about that. Like, I remember the Grand Canyon briefly. I remember the casinos and going to like Fremont Street or whatever.
See, I remember everything that was outside of Vegas. I don't remember anything in Vegas, essentially.
Well, there's a lot of lights and stuff. So like, you probably had an epileptic seizure or
Who
something.
knows?
Well, we did
Or the
literally
fact that
just
I'm a
spend
child.
1 day. We did literally just spend one. It wasn't even a whole day. It was just a few hours on the strip because we were staying off of the strip. But then we went to Fremont Street for the light show under the cover. But do y'all know
That
what
was
my
cool.
favorite? Yeah, and it's still cool. Do y'all know what my favorite memory from that whole trip is?
No.
It's on the same day as the Hoover Dam and the Grand Canyon.
No, I don't.
It's funny to me now. It wasn't funny to me then.
Yeah, I don't think I remember.
So we still had our tag along with us, and we were on our way back to the condo that we rented. And so we stopped for dinner at some hotel in like Greenwood or somewhere that had like a really cheap buffet, and she wouldn't get out of the car. So we went inside.
That's your favorite memory?
Only because it's funny to me now. Then it was not funny to me
Yeah.
because she legitimately felt like she was locked in the van, even though she was not. But she legitimately thought
Oh, I do
I
think
don't
I remember
remember this.
that now.
Well, because she relieved herself in my Tupperware dish because she thought she couldn't get out of the van. And when we came back, I got my butt
Yep.
handed to me by her. And I'm like, you must be kidding. But
Alrighty.
it's funny now. It wasn't then because she really did feel like she was locked in the van, and we didn't mean that.
I'm sorry, that story reminds me of the song Uptown Funk You Up.
Oh, that's a little inside joke that I don't think we'll get into.
So that's not all I can say is, Hayden, the look on your face that day was priceless.
Oh my god.
That's a Disney trip. That's a Disney trip.
Yeah, in the parking garage. I remember that.
I wasn't on that one. I just heard about it after the fact.
I was
you weren't
there
with us. Oh, yeah, Hayden was there.
No, it
Hayden was right in the line of fire.
Yeah, it was just 4 of us, and then we met Patrick there.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the greatest trip ever, but anyways.
So there was that Vegas trip, of course, and I think when I said earlier it was a toss-up, I think it's between that and our trip to Maui to watch you get married, Mom.
The trip to Maui was awesome, not just because I got married, but because you guys got to go.
Of recent memory, that's definitely like top 3.
Well, and what was so cool about that trip is it was just as the world was coming out from underneath all of the pandemic and COVID restrictions, and travel was starting to happen again, because that's the only reason we all got to go, because I think the round trip tickets to Maui were like $300 a piece, which I think they're like $2,500 now. But what was so cool is...
Yeah, it was late October 2020.
Yeah. And what was so cool is everybody got to go. We did things together as a group, and then we did things on our own, and Hayden got to turn 21 in Maui, and yeah, we got married. But man, I mean, there were some cool things that went on that trip, but going at the top of that volcano at 4:00 in the morning, I get chills even when I think about it, to go up to watch the sunrise. And when you get out of the car and you're like 10,000 feet above sea level, and there's no light or distraction, and you can see all of the stars, and like every 10 seconds, a shooting star, a shooting star, a shooting star, because they happen all the time and you just can't see them, in your normal everyday life. And really, to have Hayden have to put on my pink leopard jacket because he didn't believe his mother that it would be cold in Hawaii.
It's not that I didn't believe you. I just didn't think about it.
So there was a couple of things I was going to bring up. The fact that Hayden had to take your jacket because he didn't believe you that it would be cold up there. The other thing I remember is, so we didn't get much sleep, right? Because like we got in kind of late,
Right.
maybe we went to dinner. I think we went to bed at around midnight, and then we were up at like 3 o'clock to get up there, and so like none of us had eaten as far as like breaking our fast. Um, and I remember Matthew and I were very adamant about trying to get a B&E, bacon and
Oh,
eggs,
that's
and
right.
you lied to us. You lied to us and
No.
said, "Yeah, we'll take you there, no problem. You just follow us." And then we got all the way to the top of the mountain, and we're like, "What?
I
Where's
remember that because
breakfast,
me and
man?"
Shane were just like, we're so hungry.
But we went to
Yeah,
breakfast
dude, it was bad.
afterwards and we had Loco Mocos and they were amazing.
We did.
I mean,
Yeah, that little place we went to, I don't remember
I
the
don't
name
either.
of it, but it was
It was.
baller.
It was
Oh, it
on
was
the
so
way
good.
to the back end of the road to Hana, though.
Yeah. So real quick, talking about the sun or the sunrise atop of the mountain, we can probably post this, I would imagine, but I have a time lapse of it
Yeah, yeah.
that I took.
Oh yeah,
I do
I do
too.
too. Yeah, we should post that. Very cool.
Yeah.
We will definitely
Yeah.
post the time lapse
So
video of the sunrise above the clouds at the top of some volcano in Maui, Hawaii that I can't pronounce the name of. My apologies. I feel like I keep apologizing to the Hawaiian listeners because I'm phonetically challenged, but it is
Yeah.
gorge.
Yeah. So if you want to see that, just make sure you're following on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Monkeys Unfiltered.
Absolutely.
indeed.
So I definitely think Maui is top 3 for me, but I think my favorite trip recently, at least, is my honeymoon cruise because that's something so much different than me or her have ever done. So we started in San Diego and cruised for a little over a week up to Alaska and finished off in Canada. And I mean, we hit every state on the way up. Granted, there's only 4 states on the West Coast, but still, it was a lot of fun.
I'm so envious of that trip for you, Hayden, because like I'm happy you got that, and I'm happy you guys like enjoyed your time and everything. But I'm very envious because Ariel and I never got to take a honeymoon, and I've always wanted to take either a cruise to Alaska or a Hawaiian cruise, like what you did.
Yeah, I'll say the Alaskan cruise is a lot better. We didn't go very far north. We just went to Ketchikan, so it's like down in the little islands in the tail of it that border Canada. But a Hawaiian cruise, to me, now I had been there once before, isn't the way to do it. Like, it's a cool experience to be able to cruise around the islands, and towards the end they sail around the islands that like nobody lives on, and they're just sheer cliff faces, and they're really cool to look at. But as far as like spending time on the islands, I don't know. I mean, all the ports are basically just industrial, and you have to walk 2 miles to get out of the port anyway.
Right.
Well, I actually don't think we can go too far away from the Maui discussion without mentioning the travesty that they just endured, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
The fires.
Everything
awful.
burned down.
Yeah.
A lot of the places, that little restaurant where Don and I had, we had brunch and an alcoholic toast to ourselves the day we got married there. We just went by ourselves, but that little restaurant is gone. And so that's kind of sad. But yeah, it's an awful thing that happened there. And I know that they're, because I do have a little bit of a toe in the travel industry with some of my work. I know they're working very hard to recover. And one of the best ways to help them do that is to travel responsibly and visit Maui. Just be respectful of the recovery efforts and, the zones that are still closed to visitors. But when I think about that side of the island, so Maui has 2 volcanoes, a big volcano and a small volcano. They're both dormant, but that is the small volcano side. It is also the more residential side of the island. But it is the side of the island where someone on this trip said, "Would you please stop making all of these left-hand turns?" as we were coming
No, so
down the
that was when
mountain.
we were driving up the mountain. Yeah, no, we were driving up the mountain
were
for
going
the
up.
sunrise.
Oh, I thought it was when we were coming down the little side and we were stopping at all the
No.
waterfalls, and she was
No,
like,
so you and Dawn had rented your own car, and then we got a big like Suburban for all
Right.
of us.
Yeah, because y'all had a Jeep.
Because there was me, Hayden, Cheyenne, Matthew, and Ariel. Like we were all in one
Right,
big
right.
Suburban type truck. And I remember driving that honking thing because I normally drive like smaller cars and stuff. So driving that thing around these like treacherous mountain faces, it was nerve wracking on its own. And then because it was so early in the morning, Cheyenne's like trying to sleep, and she's like, "We are making way too many
Well,
turns."
she was in the third row, and she wasn't used to
Yeah.
that. You know, you're in the third row, you feel it a lot more. She's like, I don't feel great because she hadn't
Look,
eaten. It was early as hell.
So I can agree with you, or Cheyenne rather, because the last time we drove to get on the cruise ship, I was sitting in the back seat, which I don't typically do. I actually pretty much drive everywhere we go, even with all of us. But I was sitting in the back seat, Hayden, because y'all drove. And I remember just getting so sick. Like, I didn't, like, throw up or anything, but I was just feeling so terrible. With the irony being, like, it felt like I was seasick before we even got to the cruise ship.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just something about being in the back of a car when you're not used to it.
Yeah, it sucks.
We tend to take a lot of family vacations over spring break since Jason, your wife, is a school teacher. That tends to be the best time for us to do it. And I think you're referring to the last cruise we all went on over spring break, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, where we went to the Bahamas and stuff, and we didn't even get off at the Bahamas because it was more about the cruise ship than anything.
Right, but we did get off at the private island, and Hayden caused a ruckus.
I did not cause a ruckus.
Yo,
you
Pilar
did not.
was handling business out there.
You are correct. You did not cause a ruckus. I believe your mother did, though.
No, dude. Okay, so it was crazy. Like, we were sitting there waiting on the little tram thing that goes around to take you back to the boat.
Yeah.
And all of us are kind of congregated near the bus stop. There's no line. Everybody's just kind of standing there, right? So the tram pulls up. Obviously, they have to offload everybody that's coming in. And so everyone patiently waits, and they kind of organize into, like, a single file line. Well, all of a sudden, this one woman just kind of bursts out of nowhere and just starts trying to cut everyone off. And so, as a family of what? We were like 6?
I think there were like 6 of us
at the
time.
Yeah, there were 6 of us.
Yeah. And we're all trying to, like, a row can fit because there are 2 benches facing each other. So you can fit like 8 people there. So obviously, we're all trying to get onto the same row. And this woman's literally trying to insert herself into the middle of our family. And like Hayden's trying to get on, and all of a sudden she like bumps into him with her elbow, and he goes down. And it's just, I'm like, whoa.
That's not even that. No. So I was last in line, and all of y'all had gotten on, and I was going to like step up, and she shoots her arm out and grabs the rail, so I can't pass her. Well, my arm's on the other rail, so we're like crisscrossed. I'm like, excuse me, like I'm just trying to stay with my family, right? And she's like, I don't care. And she's not moving. And I'm not moving. And so I go to step up on the tram, and she just elbows me in the chest. I hit the ground. All of a sudden, I stand up. There's 4 people around yelling. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I didn't actually see how she like got involved with you physically. All I saw was you on the ground, and I didn't know she was getting ready to go in for more or what. So I kind of like jumped up and was like, hey, calm it down.
Because the next thing that happens is Hayden's mom is like, excuse me, that's my baby. I don't care that you
I'm
were,
like, I'm 22.
22 or 22. That's my baby. Get your hands off of him. What is wrong with you? I will mess you up, lady. And and then everybody's trying to get me to sit down. I'm like, nope. She put her hands on my kid. She assaulted him. Then the people in the row behind us were like, yeah, we saw it. And Pilar comes speeding up on his bicycle with the dirt flying.
Hey, that man had a powerful mustache, and he got the job done.
He did.
He really looked like the Indian guy from all the Twitter memes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the guy.
Yeah, but he was really he was really cool and nice about it. And he followed up when we got back on the ship to make sure everything was cool. And I think we were on Royal Caribbean, weren't we? Yeah, and they did a good job of following up with
nobody
Hayden.
ended up in the brig.
No, but hats off to Royal Caribbean because they followed up with Hayden and got his scrapes and bumps cleaned up and checked on him. So that was great.
That night, because they ended up giving me a tetanus shot just to be safe, because I got pushed down in dirt and stuff like that. And I scraped up my elbow real bad. And that night at dinner, I was like, I'm gonna die. This is it. This is it for me. I hadn't eaten.
This is how I go out.
I had the tetanus shot, and I was like, I'm done. Bye, guys. It was nice knowing you,
bro. Speaking of dinner though, like those dinners were awesome because they had a different menu each night. And like I remember the one night when I learned that you could order more than one entree.
I think you learned that trick from my husband.
I did, bro. But I did venture. So like I'm not normally a steak eater. I'll always pick chicken over steak. And so when I learned you could get 2 entrees, I was like, oh, I'll try me a steak. I remember getting it and it was just like bubble gum. I'm like, eh. And so I passed it over to Aiden. I was like, you eat this. I can't do it.
That to me was probably the coolest part of that whole trip is we made it a point, regardless of whether we saw each other during the day or not, we made it a point to eat dinner together every night. And that was super cool. I really liked that.
Yeah. Well, and you took care of the fact, like, you made sure everyone knew, like, where everybody was because you gave us all these, like, marker boards that we put on the outside of our room since we were all in the same hallway. And so everybody on that hallway was like, oh man, that's such a cool idea. Why didn't we think of that, right? And so
notes.
I was always posting like, I'm in the casino or whatever. And like, whenever I came back and we went to bed, I'll be like, up $200. And then by the end of it, it was like broke even and it was worth it.
Yeah. I remember, I think there was the couple next to us. I think they were on their honeymoon and they thought it was so cool. And they started like writing on our boards too. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. If I'd write in the casino, they'd write something like good luck or whatever.
Yeah. We were writing song lyrics and stuff back and forth and they were like finishing off the song. But I remember when we were disembarking that day, that was the only time we were gone like a week. That was the only time on that whole cruise we saw those people. And they came out of the room and we were like, oh my God, we're so glad we got to meet you. And that's when they were like, oh yeah, we're on our honeymoon. And you guys were like the best part of it, which kudos to us. I mean, people are on their honeymoon and we're the greatest thing about it. Right. That's because we're cool. But yeah, that was a cool trip. I mean, we tend to have adventures where we're either dealing with mountains like in Maui, because we didn't even touch on the road to Hana and how many times we thought we were going to die doing that.
Oh, and I'm telling you, driving that big Suburban, those roads are not even designed to fit one car at a time. Never mind, you've got people going both directions. It's intense.
And there's nowhere to pull over to let somebody pass. But like the locals who drive it every day are like whipping up and down it. We're like, oh my God. But it was so worth it because it was beautiful. What? What? He's gonna have a heart attack.
I don't know. I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but we definitely peed not in a bathroom at one point.
That's okay. When I went to Hawaii the first
like
time,
all of us.
Right. Because there was like some chickens that came up or something. But that's okay. The first time I went to Hawaii, we went to the Black Beach on Kona. And I didn't know you weren't supposed to remove rocks from the island because it would upset the gods. And I took a little vial of black sand to bring back home as a memory. And 6 months later, the volcano erupted. And so I'm sure my face is in all of the post offices in Kona.
In search of. Oh my God.
No, speaking of the road to Hana, though, and that Suburban, I'm convinced that right now is just a chemical reaction in my brain letting me live out the rest of my life as we're falling to our death off of that cliff.
Yes.
Because I don't think we made it around. I really don't.
But that was amazing. It was breathtaking. The places we got to stop, all the like little waterfalls and the caverns and stuff. It was really cool. Really cool. But I can think of another good mountain adventure we went on when y'all were kids. Do y'all remember? Do y'all know where I'm going?
Yeah.
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 That is Grandfather Mountain.
Good old Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina. You guys had never seen snow, and I thought, okay,
Not true. Not true.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was like, between 3 and 10 or whatever. I used to go up to Georgia all the time to see my father's parents. It
Oh,
would snow
okay.
up
So
there.
maybe it was Hayden that had never seen snow, so they'd had like a snow on that side of the state, and we went over. And do you remember how we we had Nan with us again? It was me, the three of y'all, and Nan, and we pulled
Yep.
up because Grandfather Mountain is a national park, and so we pulled up to the gate to pay the entry fee. Where somehow or another we knew ahead of time how much. I mean, it was like a stupid amount of money per person to get in this place, I thought. And this is way back when I was single and broke. So so Nan is driving the car. I'm in the back seat. Hayden, you were young, so we had you all like wrapped up like you were just a small baby because I think under 2 was free. And Jason, where'd you
And
and
I'm like
Matthew ride?
5, 4.
In the trunk.
But let's clarify.
Like mob victims.
Right. But let's clarify. This rental car was one of those that had like the split back seat so you could lay one side of it down and seat into the trunk. And we had the seat laid down and the blanket over it. So we didn't pay for Hayden because he was a baby. You two were in the trunk. So it was just me and Nan. And it looked like Nan was chauffeuring us. And the lady at the booth kind of gave us this weird look, but whatever.
Well, and it's a big surprise that we weren't actually caught because Matthew and I couldn't shut up because we were so like, oh, we're in the trunk.
I mean, it's stupid stuff like that, though, that teenage boys like find enjoyable, though.
Right. That was it. They wanted to ride in the trunk really bad, but then I will have to say, Hayden, you get pushed down on vacation. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about when I almost got kicked out of Disney World defending your wife, but this was Jason's. Yeah, this was Jason's turn to have a near-death experience. You want to tell it?
Yeah, me and my what would you call that? It's like a term for someone who leads you astray. So Matthew, my older brother, always got us into some trouble, dude. He was always like wanting to go do something crazy or, not again with the statute of limitation things, but like it was handled. Everyone knows what happened at this point. Went down to Alltel Stadium back when it was Alltel instead of like Everbank Field or anything like that. We broke in there essentially, running around looking in like the gyms and went onto the field. Matthew climbed all the way to the top of one of those stadium lights at one point. Thought that was fun. So we got caught doing that. We've done a number of things like that, but in Grandfather Mountain, you guys, I guess, had went in like get the gift shop or something like that because we had went to the little like peak, the lookout thing, and done all that stuff, and so we're just kind of waiting to leave, I think. And so Matthew goes, "Hey, look over there," and so we look and see like there's a cordoned off section. It's like the orange caution tape or whatever.
Right,
they put it like on one of the trails, which I guess wasn't really a trail. And it literally had a sign on it that said, "Do not enter." And you know what that means?
Go in.
Nothing. So we went. Yeah. It means absolutely nothing to people our age. So yeah, Matthew's like, let's go do it. And me being me, I was just like,
okay.
Yeah, I see no problem with this at all. So yeah, we crossed that threshold. And next thing you know, we're literally on like a very steep, I would say it's probably like a 20-degree slope. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but like put yourself on the side of a mountain and add snow to it and ice and all that stuff. And yeah, next thing you know, you got a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and I think it was roped off because they'd had a rock slide a few weeks earlier where part of the mountain had broke off right there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember that specifically, but I do know that while we were traversing this like treacherous ground, I don't actually remember what happened to me. I just remember no longer being on solid ground and taking a tumble, right? So, well, and I say a tumble, it's more of a slide. So I guess somehow my feet came out from under me, and I am just steady, like reaching terminal velocity, just sliding down this mountainside. And there is a steep, and I'm talking like literally 90-degree drop straight down. Had to be like 500 feet at minimum, all the way down to the ground. There's like a steep cutoff, and so I'm just like barreling down toward that edge, and there's nothing I can do about it. Matthew, meanwhile, is just like panicked. He doesn't know what to do. He can't say or do anything. He's just watching this happen. I don't even remember what was going on in my head. I just remember like putting my hands out, and I don't remember actually grabbing anything or having hold of anything when I came back to myself. But probably about 2, maybe 3 feet from the edge, I just abruptly stopped. And so I really think that might be divine intervention, because I'm telling you, I don't think anything else stopped me. I quit moving, like out of nowhere. And so I kind of just sit there and say, I just kind of feel like I'm going to live here for the rest of my life, because if I move, I'm going the wrong direction, and I don't want that. So somehow I like turn over and look at Matthew, and he just goes, don't move. And I'm just like, yeah, all over it. Don't worry about it. And he goes, I'm going to try and come to you. I said, don't do that. It's like, you're going to end up worse than me. Just stay where you are. And I just kind of like crab walk somewhat. I just kind of like hands and knee it all the way up, avoiding ice patches. And yeah, I made it back up, and we came around the corner back into like where everybody was. And I just, oh my God, I was sobbing uncontrollably.
Right. And your Nan and I are at the car trying to load up, right? We've put Hayden in the car already, and we're trying, and I'm like, I probably called y'all a name. Where are those two jerks?
I'm sure.
Right? Where did they go? And all of a sudden, here y'all come around the corner.
Yeah, we'll go with jerks.
Yeah. All of a sudden, y'all come around the corner, and it is all over your face. Like something traumatic has happened. And I'm like, oh my God, where?
Devastation.
Get in the car. Breathing. Where have y'all been? We're ready to go. And then I look at you and I'm like, what happened? What the heck? And Matthew is, and then you start crying. And of course, now I just want to go, right? I'm trying to get Hayden in the car, but he's steady screaming, but I want to ride in the trunk. But I want to ride in the trunk. It's my turn to ride in the trunk. And I'm just like, everybody get the frick in the car. Let's get out of here. All these people are staring at me. They're wondering, did I kidnap these kids? I'm shoving them in the trunk. Like, just get in the car. Everybody's crying. I mean, it's like...
Dude, it's like one of the most like traumatic experiences by trying to just spend time together.
Right. But here's the thing. We get in the car and we pull out of the parking lot. And I know there's like, 12 people. Thank God there's no cell phone reception on the top of that mountain, because there's 12 people trying to call the law. Like, this woman's kidnapping these kids. But we go to go around the corner. Right. We go to go around the corner of the visitor center to head on out. And I have to, because this female deer shoots out of the brush. Do y'all remember this? And she kind of stands there in the middle of the road, like staring at us. And I'm like, look guys, look at the deer. She is like mean mugging me. And I'm like, okay, dear, like no harm, no foul, across the street. And then all of a sudden 3 little babies shot out of the brush and went across the street. And then she went on. And I was like, oh, look, she was protecting her babies. Unlike me shoving mine in the trunk of a car going, let's go.
The duality of life.
That's probably why I don't remember the deer, because I was in the trunk.
Right.
I do think we let you ride. I was like, I don't just get in the car. That was pretty funny. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
We take a lot of cool trips.
Yeah. Well, and there's more still that I'd rather, well, not rather do, but that I'd still like to do. Like I've become a Christian relatively recently, and like my dream right now is to visit Israel.
Me too. I'm with you. I would like for the
My
region.
wife really wants to go to Ireland or Scotland, and then I think she said Japan too.
Japan used to be on my bucket list. I'm not as now Micronesia or somewhere like that. Like I want to go where the elephants are and stay at the elephant camp out in the jungle with the elephants and stuff. I'd love to go on a safari, but I will tell you these last several years I've been pretty fortunate to go a lot of places I never thought I would go. See a lot of Europe, a lot of emerging hot spots in Europe I got to go to over the last couple of months, so that was cool. But my bucket list is changing as I get older. I definitely my husband has a big desire to do the Grecian islands, so I want to do that with him. I would really like to do, like you, Jason. I would love to do the Holy Lands in Egypt and Mozambique, Madagascar, all those kind of areas. Just the unusual stuff. I want to go to Alaska. I can't believe I've never been to Alaska.
Same.
I've been.
Well, we're
I've
going.
been there. I did
You
that.
hush. I remember when we were planning your honeymoon. I remember Cheyenne said to me, because I was like, "Oh, I get you. Why, we can put y'all on this cruise or that." She's like, "I don't want to go anywhere tropical." I'm like, "Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're going to Alaska?"
Yeah, that was both of us. Yeah. I think.
Well, that's how you know Hayden has God's favor. He's the divine child, because he's been to all these places and he's like just now like 23. It's ridiculous.
How old am I?
24.
What are you, 60 now?
Look, it's difficult. Yeah, I'm saying, I promise you, anytime somebody asks me how old I am, I have to call my wife.
You are closer to 60 than you are to being from when you were born.
Yeah, that's true.
You're old.
Okay, I don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about
pointing that out. Yeah, we're not talking about really being close to 60. Knock that off. Hayden, where do you want to go to? What's on your bucket list?
For me,
you stop laughing.
Paris, or
that would be
just
cool.
London, like the major cities of Europe. Realistically, I mean, I don't have much desire to travel to like Asian countries or African countries. Like, I just want to see like the history of Europe, because that's more what I'm interested in. I want to go. I would only want to go to Abu Dhabi just because there's a Formula One race out there at the end of every year. And
right,
it's
that's
like
what got me
this
interested in it when you and I were talking about it.
The only thing that interests me about out there is the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, it's an impressive thing for sure. All right, well, I mean, I feel like we had some good discussions. Recent trips, old trips, really reminiscent there. But I think it's time that Mom does her mischief joke. If you want to get into that.
Yeah, thanks, Hayden. For those of you who follow us on social media, we've started Monkey Mischief Mondays. And if you drop by any of our social channels on Mondays, you will find the first half of the funny we are pondering for the week. And it's usually a part of a joke or part of a story. And then I invite you to come join us on the episode to hear the rest of that story. So if you swung by on Monday, you saw that I had posted, "Why does the Norwegian Navy have barcodes on the side of their ships?" And I'm sure you've Googled it or you knew it. Hopefully you dropped a comment with your guess at the answer. But the reason is so when they come back to port, they can scan the Navy in.
That was a good one.
Never let it be said, this mama don't appreciate a great dad joke. So
I'm killer for like logical humor or stuff like that. It's so good.
That was a good one.
Thanks. I worked hard on that. That was a good one. I worked hard on that. I worked out. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
So, just real quick for everybody listening, you'll notice that we haven't really pushed socials and stuff very much up to this point. But it is important for, you've heard people talk about algorithms and things like that. If we're going to get some exposure and some traction here, it's important for you guys to interact with social if you have that ability. It's important for you to follow or subscribe on like your podcast platform. If you want to help us keep doing this and do it better and better, we would really appreciate your engagement on that.
It's a free way to support the monkeys.
Yeah, absolutely. Any way that you can help us is good with us.
And much appreciated.
Much appreciated, yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging out and reminiscing about a few stories we had. This was fun.
It was fun.
And I guess
it's always fun with you guys.
Yeah, I guess we'll see y'all next time.
This has been Monkeys Unfiltered. We hope you will come back next week. And until then, be sure you swing through our social media platforms, give us a like and a follow. And remember, you can find us at Monkeys Unfiltered anywhere you get your podcast.